Yay. Hey, Yvonne.
Hello again.
Yes, thank you for getting me on out of my closet again. So good.
Oh dear, yes. Well, I think that we all need to come out of our closet of conditioning and programming and find our authentic self and give that expression.
Mm,
The conditioning and programming that we've had for thousands of years is to mold ourselves or be molded into something that somebody else wants for their own agenda. And so we don't remember who we are. And we don't, when I look at my childhood, I would look at children and my grandchildren, in the beginning, they have this ability to just be so free.
mm.
And then how soon do we tell them, no, get into that box? So it's
Yeah,
time to come get into that closet. And so it's time to come out of the closet.
yeah. So beautiful. And I see that once we get molded and almost domesticated into that other way of being, other than being who we were in our authentic expression, we actually find, well, I have found for myself that for quite some time I actually felt comfortable in that not me space because it was
Mm-hmm.
safer.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, my spirit from within, and I guess my calling or my purpose or my soul's journey here never allowed me to sit in that compliance state for too long. And so I had to break out of it, and I had zero control over that. I was really trying to fit in like everybody else did, but internally it just went in against my nature so strongly. And I think that that pulse of my nature has come out over the course of my lifetime quite strongly, breaking away from the Netherlands on my own and then finding myself traveling around the world with a family in tow, and then coming to that place like, well, that is actually, despite the strange um, contrast and contradiction that may have, that marriage constellation wasn't allowing me to find really who I was. And it was only after I um, moved out of that I really started looking within. And so I was just operating on a whole bunch of ideas and concepts and contracts and constructs of belief that totally limited my own expression of my own sovereignty. I wasn't my own sovereign man at all. I was just some formulated series of identities, a very lovable mammal, as I would call it. I was very community driven and very community orientated. But boy, when I started scratching at the surface of wanting to re-enable my nature and restore my self-sovereign nature, oh my goodness, all those layers of conditioning that then had to be undone and be looked at for their, how would we say it, their distortions of what is actually true and what is actually real. um, that was an interesting journey to kind of peel those layers back and then be led into greater spaces of self freedom, so to speak, where I wasn't basing my life so much around what everybody else was thinking about, or more what I was thinking that they would be thinking, because I didn't hear their thoughts. I wasn't hearing what they were saying. This is a fascinating journey, and I'm glad that we called this subject for today "Unpacking Self Sovereignty." And just want to invite you to share from your take on the word. I've been going at this for 6 years or more, and I've looked at all the kind of syntax and the language and the roots and the origins and the etymology and the archetypal kind of value or meaning of the words that are all interlinked with what sovereignty is. And I can say it's been anything that what what happened for me is that I had a great insight that whatever I thought was to reclaim self-sovereignty totally appalled me, because it was all about studying the law and writing letters to the council that I wasn't going to pay my parking tickets, and then I was going to be a sovereign man. And I was just like, this is the greatest load of bullshit, and such an emasculated pathway. It's a pathway, it's a legitimate one, and these people do become their own leaders, but you become your own leader because of an oppressor. But the oppression doesn't happen from outside. I found that all the oppression I was actually doing to myself really on my inside. So I just want to open up with that, and just invite you to share some of your comprehensions around this, because this is a huge subject.
Well, I just love how you dive in. It's so good. Look, I wrote a post about 3 days ago. I lose that. You do know when we first started this journey together, you said to me that you were intending to write once a week, and how did I do it every day? And it was day 320, I remember. Do you know, today it was day 383, and I'm definitely losing count. So a few days ago, I wrote a post about breaking free from the uncomfortable comfort zone. And that's what you're talking about. You wanted to break free, but you were using the conditioned things that you thought were real, like the council and all of those people, and to take back your sovereignty, you had to get their permission for some reason. And think now we are learning that all that is false. And it's interesting to me, because I often say to you that we've lived each other's lives, because you talked about your marriage and how you felt that, you know, you needed to break free from that. Not that it was a constriction, it's just that it wasn't a place where you could find your sovereignty or your authenticity. And I was married for 23 years, and it was, you know, it was something that, very high principled lady. I was never going to leave that marriage, but my soul was dying. I just found myself shriveling up inside. So I took the plunge and left. And so I understand, you know, I went on my search to find my authentic self. And I found, what I found was that I had been duped into playing the game, so to speak, to fit in, as you say. And I was never a fitting in person. You know, that was so far from my authentic self. In fact, you know, I belong to a walking club. Hello, everyone. Isn't it lovely to see people are actually following us? I found that I had to totally strip away all these false ideas about what it was that I was supposed to look like in the different roles that I was playing. What was I supposed to be like as a mother, rather than doing that? That's one role that I found that I never asked permission for. It was just a natural thing, and you know, and I did it well, and I didn't ever allow any external forces to change that. However, again, you're still hooked in, because then you get hooked into their schooling and how that's got to go, and so you have to mold them into these boxes, and at the same time you are, well, I was constantly telling them, you can be anything you want to be, don't restrict yourself, blah, blah, blah. You are magnificent beings of, you know, and they're all like, really? But you know, we had to find a way to be in two worlds. Well, this is how I feel, and that is becoming more and more obvious today, that we are living in two worlds. And so finding sovereignty, well, both of us had to learn to speak this language. I think we're
Mm.
doing damn well, you know. The world, somebody, I took, when I was thinking about it earlier in the week, I got this thing over. Sovereignty is about kingdom, and it comes back to the kingdom of heaven is within. You know, it's wonderful how all these religious organizations, and look, I don't want to offend anybody, but all these religious organizations keep telling you that this, you know, the kingdom of heaven is within, but don't go there because we'd rather have it for ourselves, and we'll keep it for you. You know, you can't have the key because we hold the key. When you think about it, it's pretty bizarre. So let's look at it. Being your own, being your own law, being your own. I can't find a word for it yet. We haven't got a word for it yet. But
Being your own leader.
well, it is.
Yeah.
The word that was coming through was being your own liver. But seeing you're going through a liver cleanse, that's not good.
Well, it's not necessarily something that's far off, because I have looked into some of the physiological understandings through the Chinese medicine lens, and then particularly the old Chinese medicine lens.
Yeah.
And liver is the storehouse of the ethereal soul. It is a aspect of ourself that comes into our being, has a housing place there, and it brings forth and with it all the knowledge and wisdom as a kind of traveling soul into our being. It is also the storehouse of the unconscious, where there can be a lot of trauma stored, and